is everybody?
They ditched us.
Oh, man. Well, you know who didn't ditch us tonight? Mikey, I am so glad that our audience is here with us tonight as we jump into the Just Three Gents, two gents, to review AEW Dynamite from Daly's Place this week. Their home during the pandemic. And Mikey, before we get into everything else, I just find it very funny. This is the second time I've seen you this week as we recorded on Monday. And it seems like the rest of the Biconics crew just do not want to be around us. I don't know what we did to get ourselves set up this way, but it's OG Biconics night here, and I'm having fun.
I am too. I'm wondering if it might be because of the fact that I may or may not have told people, hey, we should all get together in person. And so they're like, oh, God.
Yeah, everyone's afraid of it now. There have been tentative plans now put in place. If you want the all the OG and every other Biconics member here to get together and see each other, you should do a couple things for us because we don't have the funds at this point. You should subscribe to our channel, BC WrestlePod. You should drop a comment down on this video so that it gets engagement, gets in front of more people. Maybe like it. Oh, you could get those alert bells to hear us when we have stuff come out like this. And you could join our Patreon to help us fund the Biconics boys getting together in one place and realizing we may be good friends, but not we're in the same room. And honestly, if we get enough Patreon dollars for it, we can make it a Patreon exclusive. You can get a live stream or a video of us meeting each other all for the first time. I'm making that promise here. With that out of the way, Mikey, I was excited when I heard that AEW is going back to Daly's Place for a couple reasons. One, it is their spiritual home. It is kind of their MSG. It's where they kind of cut their teeth, got into things, and became the company that they used to be and have lost track of since. At the same time, as I get a beard hair in my mouth, at the same time, I was also happy because they have had some issues with attendance in some of these bigger arenas. You go to Daly's Place, you can make this thing look packed out, which is exactly what they did for this event. And I did miss the weird kind of side ramp that they used all through pandemic that way. It was a fun kind of way to get new camera angles, new setups, and new good things. Mikey, did you enjoy being back at Daly's Place?
Oddly enough, it was really, really nice. I was like, I forgot how much I was like, dang, it's been a while since we've been, a pandemic era AEW. I was like, I forgot how much I kind of missed the nostalgia of it. Is it a weird way to say?
It's not. It's weird to say that AEW has something for nostalgia because it's been around just long enough where there are like a little bit of an era of these things now because there was the start of AEW. There was the no audience, really kind of beginning of it when they still had dark elevation. And then there was the modern era, which is coming into its own, going into arenas and finally starting to go up against a lot of the major companies. So the nostalgia was real, not only because we were in Daly's Place, but also since they had decided to come home, they made this a tribute show to the late, great Brodie Lee, which, his entire run with AEW was in Daly's Place. He kept them afloat in those hard times and deserves to be shouted from the rooftops that this man was amazing, which they laid out with two giant 8-person tags because, as we all know, Brodie Lee was a big fan of 8-person tags.
Yeah, I was just like, they waited till the very last minute to tell us what we were getting this episode. And honestly, I can't really fault them for who we ended up picking for a lot of these matches. So
no.
There's a little bit of grace, but I still have some good things and I have some questionable things to ask as we go through this.
Which we will ask in due time because we started the night off hot. We had Hangman Adam Page entering through the Daly's Place side ramp strangeness, followed up by his opponent, Claudio Castagnoli. These two have never met in the ring. And especially, Claudio had never wrestled at Daly's Place. So this was a huge, huge bout that these two got on each other so super quick.
This is really bad of me to say, but honestly, this was probably my favorite match of the night, if I'm being completely honest.
This is your match of the night.
Well, in terms of just strictly wrestling-wise. Now, if you want to talk about entertainment factor, there were some moments in the women's match that I really enjoyed. And of course, the main event was also really, really good as well. But I think from just pure wrestling, no shenanigans, no stipulations, no specialties with it. It was nice to see Hangman and Claudio just go at it. And then I forgot, they really haven't crossed paths that much, which I'm shocked.
They really haven't, and it was brought up in commentary a couple times, including like, Hangman Page taking a bunch of big offense, but also giving a lot of like neck-based offense to Claudio, and they had to bring up the fact that in BCC they train the neck to specifically be able to bounce back from these horrendous things that Hangman's basically doing by dropping Claudio on his head. Like it was fun to see Claudio on the back foot for once.
It really, really was, and this was as hard-hitting as I thought it was going to be. As soon as I saw Hangman versus Claudio was announced, I'm like, oh, they're gonna bruise each other up pretty badly. And I'm sure they both felt it in the morning.
They had to, although Hangman Page was busier in the evening anyways. But Hangman picks up the win here, and we move on to our first promo of the evening, detailing the career and life of Mr. Brodie Lee. And you know what? AEW and their video packages are getting a lot better now. This was heartbreaking to watch, the fact that, we lost him so young, and that, honestly, what would AEW be right now? What would the Dark Order, who didn't show up for this at all, be if Brodie Lee had survived?
That part was the crazy thing. I was just like, listen, I know we're not really doing much with Dark Order at the moment, but where was everybody that's still left?
We have at least 3 other people that could have been on this card.
No, I was like, no Johnny Hungy, no Alex Reynolds. According to the wrestling reports, Grayson is still signed with them. It's like,
and then Uno.
And Uno, I was just like, I don't know what's happening anymore, but I was sad. And then it made me even more sad when I saw Anna Jay post a picture when they had a slumber party with a blanket fort on social media later. I was just like, I can't do this right now. I'm supposed to be working. I'm not supposed to be crying.
Well, you didn't have to have that for long because they cut back from this promo and Claudio was still trying to stumble up the ramp, which was hysterical as he comes into frame as they're trying to get that shot of the good signs. That was kind of funny. But we then move on to the first match of the night in honor of Brodie Lee, the big 8-man tag, where you had Orange Cassidy, Dustin Rhodes, Preston Vance, and Adam Copeland, who I was wondering to myself why he was in this match, and goes, oh yeah, he was a friend of Brodie Lee's from WWE, and they bonded over their love of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and you see Adam's shirt, and you're like, oh, that makes sense.
Also made me cry a little bit.
But they were taking on the Mogul Embassy and Lance Archer, otherwise known as Team We Don't Get Along and Can't Figure Out How To, and Jake Roberts gets to punch somebody in the face.
I mean, that's very fair. Also, I don't know if I should be worried about Brian Cage, but every time I see him now, he just has more and more and more kinesthetic take. I'm like, is there something I should be worried about?
Yeah, he's working injured, and he should probably take some time off, but he won't because he knows the minute he does, everyone will forget about him in AEW.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's fair.
It really is, unfortunately. My move of the night came in this match, which was the continuous big man passing of Orange Cassidy around into a stalled suplex. The entire team, except for Lance Archer, got to basically pick him up, hoist him up, and drop him on his head. It was hysterical.
Orange Cassidy knew what he was up to when they put him in this match. He's like, yeah, I'm totally here for it. I loved it.
Him trying to goozle Lance Archer and get him in a chokeslam was hysterical.
It was. And I'm going to be saying this a lot for a bunch of these matches, too, because of the circumstance behind it and because literally it's a homecoming show back to Daly's Place, and it's kind of also a la tribute show to the late, great Brodie Lee. There's going to be a lot of grace given to a lot of this because I'm not going to rag on these matches as much as we normally do here on Just Our Three Gents.
No, this is definitely a thrown together night. Like, it really was a, like, let's just have it. It was almost like a really big house show in a lot of ways.
You know what? That's exactly what I wrote in my notes after this match. I'm like, I get the feeling this is going to be a big old televised house show special, and I'm okay with that.
It was kind of a nice change of pace for a while. Yeah, for this week especially. Commentary also, if you didn't have the picture-in-picture there and you didn't get them from the Fight TV feed, the commentary about belts completing a look, because why is Brian Cage wearing a belt and then picking up Orange Cassidy by his belt and all these things, was actually pretty darn funny because it was just the guys not caring at all. You could tell tonight mostly, Taz didn't care, Tony Schiavone was mildly lost, Excalibur just was like out of his mind, not trying at all. The only person who was enthused was JR in the final match.
And that's where JR thrives. Just have him do the main event, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. But we cut backstage to the amazing Renee Paquette, and she's holding down the fort on commentary tonight. She's talking to Bullet Club Gold, who are, I love this, before anything else happened, it's not the Undisputed Kingdom, it's the United Kingdom, like where Jay's from. And she turns and goes, Jay, aren't you from New Zealand? Just let it go.
But he's like, that doesn't matter.
Let it go, Renee. Let's let it go. They will never figure it out. Which it's just so good and so well played.
Renee and Jay are always so good, man. Jay just knows how to just Jay's comedic timing never gets enough credit. And I was like, there's just some subtleties every time he answers. It's like, it's fine. Anyways, back to business.
Well, and the Guns played dumb so well, including, Austin the whole time afterwards of this. When the Acclaimed enter and are talking about forming a super faction or whatever it is, and the what is it? The Bang Bang Scissor Gang they want to put together. I'm like, and Jay's not having it. I would buy a
T-shirt in a heartbeat. I'm just putting it out there. Bang Bang Scissor Gang. Let's go.
But I loved Austin Gunn doing the calculus in his head about Bang Bang Scissor Gang, and so they're trying to get out of there because Jay White's not having it. It's like we'll give you a decision next week. It's what we'll do. Just wait, which is hysterical to me because it's just a good comedy promo.
I feel Austin is going to be the one that persuades the rest of Bullet Club Gold to get on this, and I kind of did that. Him and Anthony Bowens are the masterminds here.
And then the little jab at Billy Gunn for having a fax machine. You got a fax machine, don't you, Dad? And then Taz, thinking he's funny, coming on and going, I still have a fax machine. Great, Taz. Yep. It's not about you. Please shut up.
No, but sorry, I know what a fax machine is, despite, all this beautiful, non-wrinkly skin. But thanks. No one really uses the fax. You're welcome.
There are two places that still use a fax machine: doctors' offices and libraries. Those are the two.
That's very, very fair. But yes, if we really get this faction called Bang Bang Scissor Gang, I am totally here for it. I'm not gonna lie.
I want to hear the mashup music for the two of them with Max Caster rapping over Bullet Club Gold or something like that. Would be hysterical.
Remix.
We then get the most dapperly dressed Samoa Joe I have seen since his commentary days in WWE coming out to cut down everyone who's supposedly coming after him and set the parameters for those that are going to be coming for his title. And he is interrupted by Swerve, by Hangman, and by Hook.
No, it's Bat Hook because the hook signal.
That's right, the hooks. I forgot. He had to look up and look scared because the hook signal was thrown.
It's so corny, but I loved it.
Swerve's promo against him, really, really, kind of chilling but fun. Hangman was very enthused. We know there's going to be a lot more of him and Swerve in the upcoming months. And Hook didn't need to say much, just next week. And Hook's got his title shot.
So, okay, let's talk about that for a little bit. So,
yeah, let's talk about it.
So, I'm conflicted because okay. I might be in the minority here. I really like Hook. But what I was hoping for in 2024, prior to us finding out that he's getting a championship match next week, one of the things I said at our World's End review, as well as, when we were talking about it in our 2023 podcast episode.
All those on our channel and the Patreon.
Exactly. I want to see Hook actually be involved in more storyline feuds than just let's throw him and just have him wrestle. And I know unofficially he's part of Best Friends in Orange Cassidy's crew because he hangs out with them and Danhausen. Give me more Hookhausen, by the way. I'm just going to continue to manifest that.
Hookhausen, or take him down the route of being managed by his father and he's just this automatic killing machine. Get Taz off commentary to be a manager? For sure.
I am okay with that. But I don't know how I feel about throwing Hook for Joe to face him this soon. I was like, yes, technically speaking, Hook has a good record, 24-1, as commentary pointed it out to us.
And he's a champion. He's a
champion. But and this is no shade to Hook. I love you, dude, but this is the equivalent of watching paint dry. It doesn't mean anything. Nothing built up to this. There's no rhyme or reason. It's just, all right, let's just give Hook a shot because he's cool. And I'm like, damn. I was like, is that what we're doing? So what happened?
This is, as you said, this night tonight, it's filler. We don't know what to do with Joe's first thing. We need to get Joe another big win before we either strip him of the title at Revolution or we set him up for success. So feed him a credible threat, but someone who's definitely never going to take it off him, which is Hook. which is unfortunate because Hook is being wasted in that way. I think he needed to go for a mid-card title before he got up there to go into the rarefied air. It's really what
I think this is what I would have liked to seen first, because Hook is jumping straight up into your main title picture. No, he's not going to win it, but even then, I just have a minor pet peeve of throwing people into main title pictures. I'm not saying you have to win a mid-card title first before you can gain entry to the main title picture, because there have been times throughout wrestling history where we've seen people get jumped straight up into main title picture without even going for mid-card titles. But I would have liked to seen a build-up of somewhat to make, Hook be like, you know what? He beat X person, Y person. I feel like had he had like some credible wins under his belt, like instead of throwing him to jobber number 5 or whatever, but like maybe if he beat, I don't know, like a Kenny Omega, or even like one of the Young Bucks, or even like one of the big names in AEW, is just like, you know what? Like, there's an actual case you can argue for Hook getting this title shot, and this is going to sound really bad, but what was the last match he had? He beat Wheeler Yuta. So I was just like, I love Wheeler. Not a big name, but I'm saying if we beat someone like Kenny, or even Chris,
Moxley,
or even Eddie Kingston for that matter, or Moxley for all that, like, I would be more invested in this, but I'm not, because the build up to this has been, it's non-existent.
It's completely non-existent. But we are now teased with that. We know what's coming, and Samoa Joe got to stand strong at the end. But we then cut backstage to my favorite promo of the evening. Renee Paquette is with Mariah May, Timeless Toni Storm, and Luther, and they're talking about Mariah getting upstaged by Deonna Purrazzo, and Mariah getting upset that Toni didn't watch her match. It doesn't understand anything, and didn't know she even won. Asked her if she had done an arm drag, which I love so much, but Mariah May brings up, yes, it's our newest Sunday. It's that newest person, Wendy Richter. No, not Wendy Richter. And then the line about, of course she's taking up all the time. She's Italian, and I'll get my people to talk to Donna Palazzo. It's like, oh, come on, Tony. Seriously. I was getting like Santino vibes, which is good from this. Like, she's gonna mispronounce everybody's name. And she's so aloof, and it's another layer. It's not gone too far. It's not over the hill yet. I love this character, and I want her to continue to be this crazy ridiculousness. Please.
Yeah, I don't really have anything extra to add in terms of that.
Are you a fan of Donna Palazzo?
Well, I mean, Donna's my next door neighbor.
Oh!
Just no. So we'll talk. I'm gonna save my gushing for Deonna when we get to her a little bit later.
Yes.
I mean, granted, I don't see a potential sign of a breakup between Toni and Mariah anytime soon, but I was like, damn, we're teasing this already?
There's some hints. Yeah, there's some hints.
But Timeless Toni Storm is always going to get me over. Like, I think it's it's Toni's best character work on mainstream Western wrestling television. I mean, granted, it's really the only character that she really got to have outside of her being herself in NXT UK, but
Well, and that's what she came through in Stardom as well, was like badass Toni Storm. I will say this, I just had to do a little bit of checking here. Wendy Richter is still alive. She's only 63.
Holy crap.
When is she debuting or making something like that? She's got to pop up in like something going on with Toni Storm. There
Tony
has
Khan,
to be
you have money, book a cameo. Like
just something. I mean, and honestly, if you're booking Wendy Richter, grab Cyndi Lauper. Bring them both in together.
Yo, honestly.
For Toni Storm,
yes.
That'd be amazing.
Yes, I'm so here for it.
Oh, we can only hope. We then go from my promo of the night to a filler match to keep the feud going, because the other two in this match, in this upcoming match, in the upcoming nights, cannot wrestle worth a damn. We had Sammy Guevara dressed in, like, it looked like unfinished gear. Like, he just didn't have time to, like, get gear together, so he had somebody throw some white fabric together, versus Absolute Ricky Starks. And what's the point of giving Ricky Starks a title or, anything else? He's not able to get himself out of it because he continues to lose. And especially to Sammy Guevara. I was baffled by this.
I might be reading too much into it, but Ricky seems to have checked out. He's over this feud. And I mean, it was already apparent he didn't like this program he's working with anyways, as we saw from World's End with his little stunt to Chris Jericho in the middle of the match.
Oh, yeah.
And so Ricky is checked out, and even at the end of the match, like the fire and desire in his eyes are just like, it's gone. And to me, this is really sad because I really love Ricky and I want better for him. But this is the same thing that happens with Sammy all the time. The Chris Jericho Black Void just takes you down a peg, and unless you find a way to get yourself out, no one truly ever recovers.
Never really does. And these two had a serviceable, pretty bonkers match. When Ricky was on and selling and mocking Sammy, it was fun, but overall it was just kind of like, you could tell they were pulling some things. There were some slow moves, especially at the top. Like a lot of the enziguris and rebounds were a little tentative. And I know that was partially because, especially the outside moves, there was so much less space, ringside, that all the wrestlers that aren't used to that had to go back to. But I was only intrigued by the end when Ricky Starks was reaching out his hand to shake Sammy's hand, only to set up Big Bill missing his cue and taking forever to come in to beat up Sammy Guevara, who was looking behind him like, where's Bill? Where's Bill?
Yeah, this was very sloppy. So I'm gonna take this into a weird direction real quick. So there's a lot of reasons why a lot of the professional wrestlers we watch wrestle. They like the technical aspects of it. Some of them like, especially if they're a bigger star, they can financially be okay on it. But a lot of the wrestlers that I end up loving is because it's the love of the sport that they have. And you can tell that when they wrestle a lot, especially your favorites, you can tell how much heart they have in this. For me, this match was watching, what's the equivalent of it? I'm a child of the 90s, so I'm going to pull the weirdest example. So there was an episode of the Powerpuff Girls where the clown villain got dumped in radioactiveness, and it was draining the color and the life out of the, Townsville, and it was up to Bubbles to save the day. I feel like the clown got a hold of Ricky Starks and just drained the life and drained the heart out of him, because he looked like a sad sack of potatoes to no fault of his own. And I understand, because people said that Ricky needs to be professional and he shouldn't be doing that in the middle of a televised match. And I'm like, well, why not? He's human. He's allowed to feel these emotions.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Granted,
the person he's in there with is also a terrible human being.
Which I would not want that for my legacy either. It's like, Dad, what were some of your memorable matches? Well, I had this one, that one. What about this match? Oh, we don't talk about that one. Daddy doesn't like the person that was involved with that because he did some bad things.
Daddy took a paycheck for that one.
I get it. And unfortunately, I don't know if it's a curse or maybe it's a blessing in disguise, where I think that Chris and Sammy are taking those titles off of Big Bill and Ricky Starks in that street fight at Battle of the Belts this Saturday, which is, oh my God, that's a lot of wrestling this weekend.
Oh, yes, there is.
I just want this to be over, whether Ricky and Big Bill lose the titles or retain them, and I want everyone to just move on with their lives, because I don't want to see this anymore.
We can only hope it, and we'll move on from there as well to the post-match. As I said, Big Bill beating up Sammy in the ring, and Chris Jericho's music hits louder than usual. But Jericho's down with the bat. Taz and everyone else trying to sell the fact that the fans are going nuts for Jericho. No, they're booing pretty darn hard, but AEW made the smart choice in their thing to keep Jericho's music at that high level blaring so that you couldn't hear the crowd. One question I did have on this, because I know that sometimes royalties and things you have to pay to use and license a song are based on the amount of time you're using it for or the reason you're using it for. Do you think Jericho gets a bigger paycheck because basically, Judas didn't stop playing the entire time? We went through 2 verses and a couple choruses.
Probably, which makes me feel even grosser thinking about it now.
Exactly. He's profiting off of this even higher and not getting any type of punishment, and it's craziness. So can we leave that alone? Is there anything else to bring up about that? About the fact that basically he's being booed out of buildings and they're trying to hide it?
No, we can move on. I don't want to spend any more time on people I don't necessarily like right now and give the proverbial middle finger to.
Because we went to my match of the night. My match of the night was the women's 8-person tag. You had Thunder Rosa, who I'm still getting used to her with blonde hair. It's very strange.
Her entrance music is also weird to get used to. I miss the metal death, that she had before. But I love
Rosa.
Yes, but honestly, I love the La Madrina like character she's playing with her entrance and the aesthetic. I was like, I'm here for La Madrina Day of the Dead.
Nothing wrong with that at all. And it was a very amazing outfit, and her gear is very fun now too, that she doesn't have pants. But yeah, I'm getting used to her with the blonde hair is what's throwing me off. But it was Thunder Rosa, Anna Jay, who was chosen by the Exalted One to be the 99th member of the Dark Orders. Therefore, she is the representative of Brodie Lee in this match. And then you had Statlander and Willow coming in, and Stokely trying so hard to manage Statlander. I'm enjoying this little thing they're doing. I was wondering who the woman next to Stokely was that was holding his other sign, whether she's actually an employee or wrestler, or she was just handpicked because she had good facial expressions. I couldn't tell. But they were taking on the outcasts of Ruby and Saraya, being seconded by Harley Cameron. And then also you were there with Julia Hart and Sky Blue. Mikey, was this your match of the night?
I think just if I take entertainment and if I take wrestling, I think I will say this is probably my match of the night. I'm flip-flopping all over the place. Again, outside of Sammy and Ricky, I think there were pretty much majority. 3 out of the 5 matches we got tonight are going to be my favorites for different reasons. But honestly, this was a very strong crop of women to pick for this 8-woman tag. And honestly, I could think, you know what? I feel like these are your top 8 women, if I'm being honest, outside, that are still wrestling right now and not on injury. At least the ones that have name recognition, so to speak. Chris, obviously.
I'm just so glad that we only get them in a 1-hour thing on Dynamite every week. We could have used them a couple other places, including one of the matches coming up. But
you know what? I feel sorry for you and Professor because and me too, because we don't get that much women's action, whereas I get a lots of women's action across the other reviews I do, which is very, very nice. But I feel your pain. But that's why we have Ring of Honor.
Which I'm looking forward to tonight. But we had a wonderful thing there. Anna Jay gets into the end, and obviously he's going to get the win on this one. Puts Julia Hart in the Queen Slayer, sort of. She gets backed into Sky Blue. Sky Blue comes in, eats the tap out, which is okay, you're just basically making Sky Blue Jobber to the Stars now, the little minion of Julia Hart, which is sad because Sky Blue is so good. But the right person won in that respect because obviously Anna Jay had to end up winning just for Brodie Lee. She did the Brodie Lee finger kiss at the end, which was amazing.
Yep. Which also got her match against Julia at Battle of the Belts. She picked up enough wins where she's going to, I think the match is going to be amazing, but she's going to admirably lose.
She's going to have to. And I love that commentary did say, these two were best friends outside the ring, and then Julia changed, and now they're bitter enemies. I'm like, but still.
I wouldn't go that far, but even say Swerve Tay comes out.
Oh, that'd be so
Or
fun.
Ty, sorry, not Ty.
Ty. Ty is still on maternity leave, which is good. But we go from there. It's
all 8 women doing when they got in the middle of the ring and did
the weird 4-person suplex. Yeah.
Yes,
Julia
I was
got on the wrong side.
I was just you know what? I'm kind of here. Julia subtly telling us she's just
Yeah, that's her subtle dig that she's going to turn face in a little while. It's utter insanity. But that was a fun spot in that one. Thunder getting some big drop kicks and stuff. Sky Blue takes the pounce, the best I have seen in so long, and Willow's pounce is nuts.
So good, so good.
As I said, go back and watch this if you want. It's a fun time with an 8-person tag. A lot of good stuff there. But we cut to Wheeler Yuta cutting a taped promo, finally responding to the fact that he was called a young boy by Eddie Kingston as he's about to try to take on him for his Continental Classic title. Did you feel this did any work to up Wheeler Yuta in your eyes? Do you feel like you can appreciate him more as a singles wrestler, or does he still feel like he's just a young boy with no way of actually getting anything he wants?
So it has been no secret that I wish Wheeler Yuta improved on the mic. I think he's doing a little bit better than where he started out before. And I'm not at the level of where I'm throwing this man under the bus like Adolfo by calling him calling him out every single week. Yeah, Wheeler Youngboy, or as the internet likes to call him, Wheeler Useless.
Weenie Yuta.
Weenie Yuta. Did I think this promo did anything to add stock to him? Not really. Am I hella excited for this match? Oh, absolutely.
Oh, hell yeah.
And that's all that matters to me at this point. Which is a sad thing to say. I'm not expecting AEW outside of maybe their main men's title, because Lord knows you don't do it with your main women's title, where we get storyline in feuds, but the wrestling is always going to be good. I want that to change where the wrestling and the stories are good, but I'm going to take this what I can for now until we get past Revolution. And if we're still this way by March, then we have a lot of reassessing to do.
Yeah, we'll be too far into the year to actually make a big course correction, and they're definitely going to need it at that point if we do. Speaking of someone who doesn't need a course correction at this moment, and I'm enjoying every moment of this stash now that Roddy is wearing, but we had Roddy Strong in the Undisputed Kingdom coming out to take on Brian Keith, who gets the jobber entrance. Mikey, how happy were you?
We're trying to stay monetized, so there's a lot of things I can't say. If you want to see my exclusive, I will record a rant for later, but listen, I know I was drilled and killed and grilled during Final Battle because I was defending Brian Keith to my other co-host. And now I've kind of just given up defending him because AEW doesn't see the value in stocking Brian Keith like I know he's supposed to. So I've kind of just given up on trying to defend the decision to have Brian Keith in AEW because I think he's a fantastic wrestler.
He is.
But they're continuing to job him out to anybody and everyone. I was just like, you know, the whole idea behind the bounty hunter Brian Keith, which by the way, AEW has dropped that like a bad habit. They no longer really refer to him as the bounty hunter.
Yeah, well, they do say Brian Keith on commentary, but they don't say in his intro anymore.
And I don't know if it's a licensing issue because we can't get approval from Mike Jones to have Brian Keith's entrance, but man, I hate the jobber entrance. I hate this was a squash match essentially, and I was just like, Tony Khan don't like black people.
Obviously, as we saw in the later match too, but oh god, this was a tough one because this is what I'm saying. This match probably didn't need to be on the card, even for the promo afterward, where Adam Cole basically said the same thing he's been saying for the last 2 couple.
He said the same thing like he did last week, and I'm gonna even take it a step further. This match did not need to be on a Dynamite, and I will take it a step further. It doesn't even deserve to be on a Rampage. Like, Rampage is actually decent.
Holy cow.
Look,
the Hardys don't agree with you.
Well, I'm going to be completely honest. The legacy of the Hardys, I will ever forever stand them, but they've always been whiny little all the time. Mostly Matt. Jeff is still on my good side, kind of.
Well, Jeff's the one being whiny right now, so that's the funniest part.
Yeah,
but
it's really weird.
Either way, you were saying about this.
Again, we didn't progress anything because verbatim, this is essentially the same promo we got last week on Dynamite. It's just in a shorter span of time in Daly's place instead of like a regular arena that we've seen them in. And okay, so y'all are about to destroy things. You're about to run this place. Where is that? I was like, listen, I know it's only the second week that we've had this, but we got to start making moves here. Like, are we going to start beating up Orange Cassidy soon? Are we going to again, you have primed Adam Cole and this group to go after the Intercontinental Championship and the AEW International. Sorry. How dare I misspoke. I saw a voice actor voice act the crap out of Dolph Ziggler's promo earlier today, and I thought it was beautiful. But the International Championship, but once again, and I'm gonna call AEW out on the crap right now, you literally just put Joe in the same position that we criticized MJF's Multiverse of Madness like the last few months too. You have primed Joe to go against Hook, Swerve, and Hangman. Though I think simultaneously. But do I think that those three are actually good choices? I actually do. I think it's a better choice, a crop of opponents for Joe than what MJF has had for the last half of this year. However, you primed those three, but there's no insertion of anybody else. I was just like, listen, I don't know if we're waiting until after Revolution to get this kick started, but I can already see the writing is on the wall for this one. I'm just like, here we go. I was just like, I gotta wait until Revolution for them to actually start making plans. It's just gonna be a lot of talking mouthpieces, aren't we? Yeah, all right, fine.
Talking mouth and watching Wardlow be very uncomfortable the entire time. And you know, not even wearing Undisputed. I was trying to figure out what the sweatshirt he was wearing was for, and I couldn't read the names on it for the three wolves. But if anyone in the comments knows what his shirt was, please drop it in there so I can actually be educated, because I was very confused why he had a Wolves sweatshirt.
I was disappointed like a parent.
Never a good thing in that respect. But we get a better promo, sort of, afterwards. We were throw backstage again. Renee hasn't stopped moving all night. Found Deonna Purrazzo, who I normally don't comment on what the wrestler's wearing in their promos or anything else. I try to stay away from that thing because it's kind of a surface level part of it. But damn, Deonna, the way you had your hair put down there, it looks like you had no shirt on. What's going on?
And now I am okay with this because Deonna has always been one of my favorites, both look-wise, which is very shallow of me to say, but also just the way she carries herself is also something that is very, very cool. And I'm just going to say it, Steve Macklin, you are a very lucky man. That is your waifu.
100%. But she went in there and just said, you know, she's really excited to finally get started here. She made her little debut, and she was not going to waste her chance. She was going to go on to I believe it's Rampage, and go ahead and have her debut on there. No, Collision? It's on Collision. That's right. It's on Collision. Which
Thank
means
God.
We're very happy she's going to have some time there. What made me upset, Mike and I were talking offline about this, and we were both a little split on this. Red Velvet interrupts her and basically says, you know, that she wants to take her on, as they both are now returning and making their re-debuts and debuts in AEW. And so she will be her opponent on Collision. And I was upset because ROH and AEW have been booking Red Velvet pretty darn strong since she made her return a couple weeks ago. They're really setting her up looking like she's going to be a challenger or something else for a title soon. And now they're going to feed her to Deonna Purrazzo, who's just arrived. Why are we derailing Red Velvet's, you know, momentum here? What's going on?
So, and this is where I disagree just a slight bit. Yes, I can see from your standpoint where having Red Velvet as, you know, Deonna's first opponent may not be the best choice, especially since, you know, since coming back, she's been racking up a lot of wins and she's been booked strong, both in AEW and Ring of Honor. And I totally understand that. However, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing for Red Velvet to be in this situation, given the fact that at least over on Collision, it's not going to be totally one-sided. Collision, in my opinion, does a better job of allowing the women to get equal offense in for the most part. And also, they do a better job of just allowing the women to, I don't know, wrestle. Shocker, right?
Go figure.
Go figure, right? I should know. I cover the show. Shameless plug. Check out the reviews. All the Puerto Ricans are on the show, so you know it's the best show. I'm just kidding. Anyways, and to your point, and maybe you could, and put me in my place if you will, but who else would you have put in this position if we're being completely honest?
I would have put Sky Blue. Not because I want her to get fed to somebody, not because I don't think she's a good wrestler. She has been losing, as she lost tonight, in everything. She's going down the card in that way for a minion kind of piece. Sky Blue can eat the pin and not really get any more hurt than she already is, whereas Red Velvet's kind of gaining momentum coming up. This will derail her heartily, even though it's going to look good for Deonna to take her on. And if Deonna took on Sky Blue, who's involved in a bunch of big storylines, that sets up Deonna to go straight into a title picture, whether it be for Julia's title or for, you know, the Tony's title, which she's saying she wants Tony's.
Yeah, and we talked about this last week. That's my biggest fear, because every time we get a big women wrestler to sign, they immediately get, again, jump shot to the title picture. And listen, Deonna Purrazzo is one of the best women's wrestlers out there currently right now. She held down Impact Wrestling scene during the whole pandemic, and she was their Knockouts champion for that period of time. And she was a cornerstone of that to help keep, and just like all the other companies, to keep making sure that we can entertain the audience, even though there was no live audiences in the crowd. And just like Drew McIntyre, she was champion during the pandemic era, just like Hikaru Shida was. Like,
so have her face Shida.
Honestly, like I actually thought about this when you talked about it before we came on air, and I was just like, you know what? If you're gonna book a strong opponent, and I love Shida, but I feel like Shida is Teflon. If she loses to Deonna, I don't think it's a horrible thing. Also, I'm unapologetically going to say this because this is my answer for everything, which it shouldn't be, but I was like, throw Emi Sakura to her. Like, I think 100%. Emi is also perfect too.
Oh yeah, nice little gatekeeper get you in the thing going on. But Deonna is ready for this one, and so we set up a match for later on this weekend, and I'm looking forward to watching her work. And we finish our night with JR joining commentary, who is animated and happy to be there, versus the other guys who just all night, especially in the women's match, just didn't give a crap, it seemed like. And we had Konosuke Takeshita and Powerhouse Hobbs taking on Sting and Darby Allin in a Texas Tornado tag match. And this was a slobber knocker of the biggest regard, with Ric Flair getting an eye poke, because we need Ric Flair doing moves in 2024.
No, you know what? I've already said this on so many occasions before, and I'm just gonna combine everything that all our Puerto Rican hosts here at the Biconics have said about this. Adolfo went in on Rampage. I went in here. I'm gonna go in here, and Luis went in on Collision last week. But the three of us collectively are just sad more than anything to see this is how Ric Flair has ended up. Do we still think he's kind of a turd for everything that happened on the Flight to Hell? Oh, absolutely. I was just amongst other things. But this is the saddest thing that I have ever seen. And it's not sad. And I feel sad for Ric Flair, not out of a place of like empathy, but it's just like pity. And I think that's worse for me to give. I was like, in the words of Mr. T, I pity the fool. Like,
meanwhile, this entire match was all high spots. Takeshita's knee going into the barricade, Darby with the coffin drop off the top of the staging, with JR yelling, "Baby, Darby, don't do that! Don't do it, kid!"
That kind of got me. I love that.
Sting getting dropped on his head and kind of being all over the place for this type of thing, and then taking a scorpion death drop off the top of that thing into tables that he barely hit.
Okay, I want to shout out Powerhouse Hobbs, because I didn't see this upon the first thing, but when they replayed it, because I weirdly observed the things that I really shouldn't, but I noticed the small details. Powerhouse Hobbs is MVP to me because he protected Sting when he went down, because I saw at the last moment Powerhouse Hobbs is like, oh, we're not about to make this, so he immediately grabs the back of Sting's neck as they went down. I was just like, Powerhouse Hobbs, you are now my hero.
He saved that man's neck, had to. And well done on him to protect the older gentleman in this, to make him at least be able to stand up and not get to deliver a promo afterwards, which they were setting up as a thank you, because we basically get the answer to who Sting is going to be facing at Revolution. We think it's the Young Bucks, a team that doesn't need the rub from Sting. And yeah, I mean, him versus Darby Allin was kind of the big thing people were thinking was going to happen, but Darby doesn't really need it. Sting's not giving the rub to anybody. He's basically, I don't know, why they're feeding him the Young Bucks to keep him safe. Like, I can see putting him in a tag match to make sure that he's safe and can't, hurt himself and not do well. But the Bucks? The mustachioed evil Bucks?
So, I mean, the Gen 5 Pokemon remakes are in the works, you guys, confirmed.
Oh my god.
Pokemon Black and White is coming into the 3-dimensional space. No. So, here's the thing, right? Is this my first choice? No. Honestly, if I wanted to add major heat and I thought it would be really cool and also give them something to do, I actually think that if this wasn't going to be a one-on-one situation where Darby took on Sting, if we're doing tag teams, because Sting has said and he wants to do a tag team match for his last one, honestly, I would have put Darby and Sting against Christian Cage and the Patriarchy. I think that would be That is how you continue to keep the stock and the heat on Christian Cage as the best heel that you got right now on your AEW roster.
100%. 100%. That would have been a lot better, but yeah.
Am I in uproar that it's the Bucks? Not really, but I do side eye like the Rock eyebrow raise happened. I was like, what you talking about?
I'm hoping they can build this to something better in the upcoming shows and weeks, but I don't trust them to, because honestly, it's just book it and see what happens, and Sting's winning most things anyways. So that was our special house show Dynamite, Mikey. Quick, easy, all that stuff. Out of 10 empanadas, what did you give it?
So, as much grace as I gave the show as like a tribute show / a filler episode / a big old house show special, I still have to also be objective as possible here. The wrestling's always going to be a good thing for me, and that's never a bad thing unless it's god-awful or atrocious. But but the fact that it's still one women's match, you still don't have the hindsight to keep Jericho off of television in the way that we're going with this. And the fact that Brian Keith, even again, I'm biased as hell because I love the Bounty Hunter, but like I don't remember the last time we had someone signed to the company and they just been jobbed out the gate. Like, this is the saddest thing I have ever seen like that.
Kip Sabian.
Well, I mean, I kind of purged that from my memory.
I'm just saying, him and Penelope, unfortunately.
But
it all makes sense there.
But I'm gonna give this. I hate to do this, but I have to be on brand. I have to give this a 6 out of 10 for me. Like, again, wrestling's always good, but that can only carry you so far. And where the blinders were on, because I love me a good spot fest and wrestling in AEW, the lenses have been cracked and have peeled off because I need to start seeing storylines and feuds. Call it what you will, the indie promotions like TNA, the kids in NXT, like, give me all the crap that you want for reviewing the show's internet. I seen your comments. You ain't slick, Rick. But at least there is some feuds and there are decent storylines, which I can't say for AEW right now, especially on Dynamite. What are we outside of Joe? Like, and even that is a stretch. There is nothing storyline-wise from a writer's perspective. And it's getting really hard for me to defend AEW to people in terms of the storyline. So, like, no, you're right. The stories are kind of trash. They're non-existent right now.
There's nothing to defend at this point because there's no storylines. What they have to do is build up the stars of tomorrow and actually make us care about them. And they're not doing that at all. And no one knows why at this point what has changed. As for me, I gave it about the same 6 out of 10. And that's with the negation for the women's match being the only match on there, even though it was my match of the night. So, a good kind of little special show, but not the very best. Let's hope it's a palate cleanser, and when they come back next week, we'll have a lot better idea of where people are going as we go into Revolution. So, Mikey, thank you for sharing AEW Dynamite with me this week. Thank you for being here as one of the OG Biconics and, like, banging this out, really just kind of, like, stepping up to the plate, because I know we're losing you next week. We're not going to have you here. We'll have to do it ourselves, and I don't know how you're going to trust us to be able to pull that off.
But I'm not leaving you in the lurch. We'll say this. This is a chaotic Texas 4-man tag, and I'm tagging in Adolfo to kind of come in for me next week, which I appreciate that. Also, hopefully you'll see him tomorrow on the Ring of Honor stuff.
We'll figure that out if we don't. It'll be a lot of fun, though. But Mikey, thank you so much for being here. For myself, for Mikey, thank you, Biconics wrestling fans, for joining us for our AEW review. We always enjoy sharing it with you. And remember, as usual, you're Biconic, we're all Biconic, and we love sharing, even though we can't defend it, AEW Dynamite with you every week. And we'll see you in the next video. How about this? Sky Blue's outfits lately seem also completely boring. Like, she hasn't put any thought into her gear anymore. Like, she was great with all the different cutouts and stuff she was doing as she was becoming evil. Now it's just like, I have a biker onesie with a weird cape and a Disney villain.
She fell in the clearance rack at Hot Topic, and she's like, all right.